Y'all ready? Say yeah! Say yeah! Say yeah! We're a winner, and never let anybody say that you can't make it. 'Cause a feeble mind is in your way. No more tears will we cry, and we have finally dried our eyes, and we're moving on up. Moving on up. Lord have mercy, we're moving on.
Hello, welcome to Shaping Young Minds. I'm your host, Devonta. Today's show is about entrepreneurship and owning a business. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, an entrepreneur, and the co-founder of TGi Movement, a youth collaborative based in Chicago that's focused on promoting youth entrepreneurship and dismantling stereotypes in the Southwest communities of Chicago. Today, we'll begin to introduce the panelists, other entrepreneurs and business owners on the show. First, we have Ms. Velveta Young, associate with Legal Shield, motivational speaker, business owner, and networker. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Muhjah McCaskill. She runs a nonprofit organization that focuses on entrepreneurship workshops around the city with youth. She works with over 150 youth now, and she was one of 50 women who was honored by Chicago Defender. And last but not least, we have Ms. Tonya Biglow. She's a physicist, author, speaker, and business consultant. She is also a consultant for clients where they are not where they want to be in their business and helps them get to where they want to be. Now we have presentations from our panelists, starting off with Ms. Velveta Young about saying no.
Thank you. Saying no is today's biggest challenges for most business owners. What do I mean? It's very easy to say yes. Think about when your mom or dad calls you and say, hey, I need you to wash dishes, I need you to make up the bed. You really don't want to do it, but you say yes anyway. Business owners find themselves in the same highlight. So I started my career as an executive secretary throughout some of the major companies here in the Chicagoland area. I soon discovered that I like being in charge, not taking orders, but giving the orders. So I took the Postal Service test, got accepted, and went for leadership and became a supervisor. I worked there for the next 20 years, giving orders, making schedules. However, about 10 years into my job, catastrophe happened. My husband died unexpectedly, leaving me with 3 children to raise. I never wanted to be a single mom, but that's what I found myself being. 2 years later, my then 16-year-old son was diagnosed with cancer. That was a fight. And the Postal Service that I loved, that I did flips for, did whatever they asked me of, the first 2 years were very fine. They were okay with me being off. Once he turned 18, they gave me pure D hell. They didn't want me to be off. They didn't want me to be with him. They told me that somebody else could go to the hospital and be with my son. Imagine that you're sick. The only people that you want when you're sick is your mom and your dad. And if they're not there, you start to feel a certain way. And as the parent, I was starting to feel a certain way. That's what made me start looking into going into business for myself. Wanting my freedom and my time back. Not having someone tell me when I could be off, when I could go on vacation, when I could go to the washroom, when I could go to lunch. I wanted my time and my freedom back. And that's what network marketing provides for me.
Well, hello. My name is Muhjah McCaskill, and I am an entrepreneur as well. The name of my organization is Strengthening a Nation. Strengthening a Nation is an organization that teaches at-risk youth and re-entering male adults who are coming back into the community from prison entrepreneurship skills. We have worked with 150 so far, 150 youth. We've worked in various locations. We've gone into Dearborn Homes, Wentworth Homes, and some of the high schools in the community. We've done workshops at Operation Push. So how long have I been in business? I've been in business for 10 years, and here's why. I worked in the penitentiary. I was a correctional officer at Stateville Correctional Center. One of the things that I saw working in the penitentiary is that there is a huge population of young men who are brilliant. Brilliant young men in the prison system who, if they had opportunities or creative outlets in their life when they were young, would they still be here today? How many young men are on the street that are drug dealers that manage a whole process? If you take that creative energy and teach them how to filter it into going into business legally for themselves, then what would the economy look like right now? Something to think about. So that's why I do what I do. And looking at the school to prison pipeline, when do they start to build prison systems? How do you know how many prisons you're gonna need? Third grade test scores. So I start my classes with third grade students at that critical point in their life where they're thinking about what they want to do and where they want to be. But there's also a platform. If you don't pass the third grade, then you get held back. You get held back in the third grade, that limits your opportunities because now you're a year behind. 6th grade, 9th grade, 12th grade. So it's important for me. I am very committed to the community and what I do. We started out teaching whatever spoke to kids, so creative art, creative writing. But at about 3 years ago, we started doing entrepreneurship. One of the main cores of our class is how does your business give back to the community? Because at the end of the day, you can have a business, but if your business isn't doing anything to give back to the community that you came from, then what is the purpose? Anybody can make money, but can somebody make money and change the dynamic of the community that you live in? So that is really the core of what we do. Family, when I have children in my classes, once you're in my class, you are a part of my family. I follow you through college. I have high school students that I've mentored from 10 years ago that I started with, and they still come back and volunteer with me and say, Ms. McCaskill, look where I'm at. Ms. McCaskill, I'm in college. Ms. McCaskill, I need help with this. We do a lot of community give back. We do a lot of field trips. I expose children to a lot of opportunities to go to plays and operas and baseball games and different things that they may not normally get to do, because all of that is what Strengthening a Nation is about. It's about what can we do to strengthen the nation, and entrepreneurship is a piece of it. But at the end of the day, all of it and all of the people incorporated in what we do are the nation, and they are the reason why we are able to move forward and do what we do right now.
Thank you. I just want to say that I think that's really valuable because a lot of minorities don't get exposed to entrepreneurship at a young age or even at all. And just to bring out that point you made about the transferable skills that young men have in the gang life, like it's really so many because like you managing people, inventory,
Security.
you managing the money, security. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of skills that they get during that they can transfer to legal opportunities in the future. So thank you. And now, last but not least, we have Tonya Biglow and her presentation.
Okay. Thank you. I am Dr. Tonya Biglow, your philosophical physicist. I use science to get you unstuck. And not just unstuck, but actually moving with results. And one of the reasons why I really have a passion for this work is because, as you could tell, I love academics. I was on a trajectory to do exactly what my parents told me to do, to go to school, to go get grades, and go out and get a good, if you finish that sentence in your head with job, that's exactly what I did. And it worked well for me until it didn't. You see, I had this high-paying job, and one day I went to work, and they told me they no longer require my services anymore. And once they no longer required my services anymore, I was put in a situation because that was supposed to work for me. And it was at that point that I decided I was done with corporate America. But what was I going to do? Because I hadn't learned business. I didn't know what it meant to be an entrepreneur. I was a great consumer. I knew how to spend money very well, but I didn't know how to generate it for myself without someone actually giving me a paycheck. So what I do with Coda Business Solutions is I help to train individuals on the basics of business. One of the things I realize is that everyone loves making money, going to a job, or however they choose to generate income. But what does it really mean to run a business? Not just to make a sale and exchange that money for your service. What does that overall mean? And I help individuals to really understand the bare basics of what entrepreneurship really means, not just to you personally, but the freedom and the legacy that you have the opportunity to leave your family once you understand those basic skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll transition to the Q&A from the audience and the panelists.
Hi, my name is Daquan Davis, and I'm 18 years old, and I will have a question for Dr. Biglow. And my question is, why are people in business?
Oh, why are people in business? Well, I have my own theory on that from what I've seen. Most people are in business because they want to have their freedom. Most people want to have the ability to go and move in business as they please. So it varies for a lot of reasons why individuals go into business for themselves. However, the primary purpose for going into business is to make a profit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that question. I know I'm definitely in business because of my freedom. I don't like to be told what to do from other people, so just started my own thing. And now we have the next audience member come up for a question.
Hi, my name is Taylor. I'm 14 years old. This is a question for Ms. McCaskill. Tell us more about thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box. Does everybody know what thinking outside the box means?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It means to do something different,
To go
think
above
bigger,
and
go above.
beyond.
Go do something different, go above and beyond, right? So when people think about business, they think about, I want to start this business because this is what I want to do, right? But they don't think about all of the different ways that they can do it. So they think about, I want to do a bakery, right? I know I like to bake, so I'm going to bake. But we get caught up in just that idea. We have, when we start businesses, a lot of people have tunnel vision. You know how horses have that thing on their face to keep them focused on one thing, right? And all our lives, as we're in school, growing up, this is what we've been taught to do. We've been taught to look just like this. So if you do this, everybody. Put your hands up to the side of your face. Now try to turn. What do you see? Your hand. Your hand. It's funny though, because when you do this, you can't see that this person can help me get there, or that person can help me get there, or maybe the way I was thinking about it is not the right way because this person has another idea on how I can get to where I need to be. So thinking outside the box is looking outside of what the norm of how things are done, and seeing all aspects and areas of how to get to that point that may be more creative, maybe more efficient, you know, that'll work better for your business opposed to this is all I see.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And that's an important topic because one of the parts of TGi is a clothing line, and like that's like a trendy thing that people wants to do. So we always got to think about how we can set ourselves apart from other people who trying to start up clothing lines and whatnot. So you know, it's something you always got to think about. And now we have the next question.
Hi, my name is Elijah. I'm 18, and my question is for Ms. Young. Did you always wanted to start a business?
No, I did just like Dr. Biglow said. Got good grades in school, got the good job, the house, the car, and then when I needed the job, it wasn't there. And that made me start looking for something else. So most people do start out with a job because that's what we're trained to do. But then later on in life, you start realizing that the job is not the be-all that everybody says it is.
Thank you.
Yes, the job is a scam. So we have our next question.
My name is Christopher Davis. I'm 17 years old, and my question is for Ms. Mack. Are you a nonprofit organization?
Am I a nonprofit?
Yes.
Yes, I am. I am a nonprofit organization.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like how you came up there
Right.
with some swagger. It was like, I like that. Now we have our next question.
Hi, my name is Monet. I'm 17 years old, and my question is for Ms. McCaskill. And my question is, when you thought about giving back to the community, what was the problem that you brought to your solution?
What was a problem that I ran into, and what was my solution? Starting. When I thought about giving back to the community, I had all of these ideas on what I wanted to do. I'm a giver. If I see a problem, I'm gonna find a way to make it happen for you. I'm gonna help you fix it. I'm going to be thinking about in my mind, how can I make this process better? When I worked in the environment that I worked in, the problem was, how do I take what I've learned and make kids' lives better? So one of the problems that we had when we first started our programming is, what do? How do we engage the kids so that they are excited about the class and they want to come and they want to tell their friends and bring more people back? So one of the things was, okay, building relationships with the parents, building relationships with the kids, showing the kids that we cared, and then starting to expose them to different things that they like. So we didn't really know. I'm not a teacher, you know. People say I am, but I'm really not. I didn't know how to reach kids your age. So I had to figure out, what is it that I can do to draw you in, to keep you engaged? So I started talking to the kids. What do you like to do? Oh, I like to go to the movies, or I like to listen to this music that we don't listen to because we're a little older. We don't know what y'all saying. So I had to learn, I had to educate myself and do the research on what it would take to engage my students more into the things that they like in the community and engage them in my classes. So doing the research, listening, talking to other people, talking to kids, talking to parents, talking to teachers, and really looking at the bigger picture on what I can do to be better, to more engage them in the community that we have, and exposing them to other things that they like. They get the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have our next person coming up to ask a question from the audience.
Hi, my name is Yahweh Warner. I'm 16 years old. This for everybody. Please tell us more about branding.
Branding.
Branding. Who's taking that one on?
I'll go. I'll
I think
go.
we can all.
Yeah, a little bit. Wow. So a lot of times people feel like branding is just the logo, right? Just what you see figuratively. So like we see Nike and the swoosh, right? Or there are other name brands that you may know the moment that you see the picture. But branding is really more than just the picture. Branding is the relationship that you have, that your business will have with your client. When people buy your product, how do you want them to feel? What do you want that experience to be? Your brand is more than just a symbol. It also has something to do with colors. I'm a physicist, so I kind of live in the space of energy, and everything is energy, and energy is in everything. So what colors are you going to use within your branding and your organization? But more importantly, branding is more than just the symbol. It really is the experience that you will have, or that your client will have with your organization.
For me, branding starts at birth. Branding is who you are. For example, most of you are in high school. If you are a freshman, raise your hand. For you, you're dealing with some things that you didn't have to deal with in grammar school. Going to different classes, carrying more books. That's your brand. You are a freshman at that high school. You're different and set off from the other classes, but you're a freshman at that high school. Where are the sophomores at? You're different because you're not a freshman. You've been there a little while. You know more ways to get around the school. You know what doors to go out of, where the lunchroom is. You know that stuff. But being a sophomore makes you part of who you are. Where are the juniors? You guys have the deep voices, the hair on your lip. You're looking at girls differently. You're looking at boys differently. But that's a particular brand that you are. I don't care what high school you go to. There are certain things as a junior you're going to be able to connect with other juniors. And then where are the seniors? You guys are on your way into the big world. The thoughts, the fears that you have, every senior all across the world has it. But that's your brand for right now until you graduate. So your brand is the things that you love to do, the people you like to be around, and that's what you exude when you go out into the world. You never want to lose your brand. You never want to, if the color is red here and the color is blue here, and you're a red person, go with the red. Don't go with the blue. Because when you end up doing something that you really don't want to, that you're not passionate about, that you really don't like, it doesn't work. And the only person that's unhappy is you. So your brand is who you are and what you like, what makes you different. There are millions of people on the face of the earth, but all of us are different. We are all here for a purpose. Once you find out what that purpose is and you put it with your brand, you got something going on then.
Branding is twofold to me. Branding is who am I personally, and how do I tie that into business? What do I look like as a person? And how do I look like as a business? So when I look at branding, when I teach youth and adults how to look at who they are as an organization, I look at integrity. I look at what you look like. I've been managing for a very long time. So I look at things in a human resource way. When you walk in the room, what do I see? How many of you understand first impressions are lasting impressions? That's very serious. As a manager in corporate and in private, now I work for the state, I look at my employees a different way. I do the same thing when I look at other organizations that I may consider partnering with. What do you stand for? Do you align with what I do? Do you support other community organizations? At the end of the day, when you leave your business, what are you doing outside of your business? Is it something that is going to be detrimental or that will hurt what I'm doing? So personally, your brand, if you're out here doing some things, and I say this to young people all the time, especially teenagers, you're out here doing some things with your friends and they're caught up in situations, guess what? That's your situation too. Guilty by association. Same thing with businesses. I cannot afford as a youth entrepreneurship organization to be guilty by association. Anybody that aligns with what I do or aligns with what you do when it relates to working with kids cannot negatively impact what I do. That's my brand. My brand has integrity. We have truth. We support families. We support youth. We support community. If you don't align with that, then that's fine. I'll support you, but you can't come in and do certain things with me. So when you're looking at entrepreneurship and branding and things like that, yes, my logo says I'm strengthening a nation, but what does that really mean? What does your business really mean when people think about you as a business and you as a person? So branding is very important. Branding is, yes, at birth who you are, and yes, what business does for you. But it also says, when I see that logo, or when that person walks in the room, I already know what she's about. I already know what you're about. I can tell because this is what stands about what you do. Your work will speak for you. I don't have to sit here and tell you 15 times I teach entrepreneurship. I'm going to pull a child out of the audience and say, tell them what we do. That's my brand. I train you to be able to speak for what it is that we do so that you can go out and do what we do for yourself.
Thank you, Miss McCaskill.
You're welcome.
Yes. I also just want to touch on social media, because that's a trend for my generation. That's an easy way to ruin your brand, depending on what you post. You know what I'm saying? What you sharing, what you like, especially on Twitter, because now they got that section where people can see your likes. So, people looking at that, especially when you're trying to start a business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't associate certain things on your page like how you used to when you're trying to create something for yourselves, because that'll damage it. And we're going to go to our next question.
I got something for you.
Oh, you got a question for me? All right, go ahead.
My name is Elijah again.
Go to the mic.
All right, so when you say the little social media and stuff, like, you can also promote your brand doing that too. You feel me? It ain't always gotta be negative.
Yeah.
You get positive. You feel me? It just depends on how you put it out there. You feel me? Basically, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So social media can be like a good thing and a bad thing depending on how you use it. Like Elijah was saying, you can use it to promote. That's what I do. I always use it. Like when I got something coming up, I promote it, or I promote my friend's stuff coming up. But you can also damage it by, like, if you're trying to get grants or something and you like sharing the fight that just happened at school, they're not gonna take you seriously. Like stuff like that, you gotta watch out for, especially because funders will look at your Facebook page, Twitter page to see like the work that you're doing and things like that.
Careers, schools,
Colleges,
Schools,
Everybody's
jobs,
watching y'all.
everything.
We do. That's the first thing I do. When I get friend requests from other organizations, the first thing I do is go and troll your page. I'm serious. I will go to that person's page and see who their friends are, see how many are alike that I have, and I will go through your timeline and look and see what you're posting.
I do the same thing.
You have to now.
Now we'll go to our next question from the audience.
How y'all doing?
Hey.
My name is Steven. I'm 24. The question is for each one of you ladies. And then I have another question for Ms. McCaskill. I started a nonprofit organization, Family Matters Production, the blue shirts you see in the audience. So when you guys started your organization, was funding difficult?
Yeah.
Is the first question. And how did you overcome that obstacle? And the second question, I was going to ask you to please share your presentation.
The PowerPoint that I have?
Yes.
Okay. So I think the first question is for all of us.
Right.
So, was funding difficult? Funding is still difficult. Can I be very honest and real with you? When I say I don't sleep because I'm constantly thinking about how to make money. It's very difficult. I had an experience about 2 years ago. I put in for a grant with Northern Trust, and the lady called me, and she said, Ms. McCaskill, how many students do you serve? I said, we serve about 25. She said, how long have you been in business? And I said, we've been in business for about 6 years. She said, come back and see me in 2 years. You're not sustainable enough.
Right.
I wanted to cry because I said, how do I get sustainable if I don't have the money to do it? So we do a lot of fundraising. I have a board. My board pays dues. That's how we pay our insurance and supplies and different things like that. Everything is grassroots. I charge for some registration. We do a registration fee for some of our classes. That helps us to pay for rent for space and things like snacks and materials, things that we need for the classes. And I require my parents to do 2 major fundraisers a year. We go after donations. This year we did a big picnic, and when I tell you, we gave 100 book bags away because 95% of everything was donated to us. Now we're seeing the growth of the hard work, the no sleep till success, as my cousin says, is starting to come to fruition. But it's a process, and we 10 years in almost. So.
I'm not a non-for-profit. My business is for-profit. The reason that I like it is because it gives me the ability to help the community. She mentioned about working with youth coming out of jail, coming out of the system. My services can help prevent that. And so I have been in a nonprofit environment, but like she said, it takes a village to make up everybody. We need everybody. We need the nonprofits, we need the for-profits, we need the physicists, we need everybody in our community to stand up, recognize what your talents are, and follow your dream. Nonprofit is not for me. For-profit is not for her. It doesn't take away from either one of us, but I'm gonna help her out because my for-profit can put some money in her nonprofit. I'm gonna tell her, I'm trying to help you, but we need everybody, you know. So I would say, follow your dream. What is your dream? Is your dream, and any dream can help the community. Anything positive that we can bring back to our community will help our community. I'm a strong believer that, like, I'm in network marketing. Network marketing is different than a conventional business where you got to come up with capital and you got to secure a place and you got to make inventory and you got to have employees. With network marketing, I just come out the door selling and sharing my services with people. They like it and the company pays me. They pay me very well for it too. And so I try to work with nonprofits. I tell them about the different things that I know, but I also like to have them offer the services to their clients, and then the company will then put money in their pocket.
So I'm not a nonprofit. I actually have a program called Profits Up because I really believe in the money. And this is the one thing that was shocking, which is it takes me right back to why I teach what I teach. And that is, while nonprofits, they work, they are here to service the community, they need money. Mm-hmm. And the name is just called nonprofit, but that doesn't mean that they don't need to make a profit. Right. That just means at the end of their fiscal year, they have to be at zero. That means they just have to spend all of their money. Mm-hmm. The bigger companies that you see that are nonprofit, they not just make millions, they make billions. Yeah. They just have to write a check to make sure that at the end of their fiscal year, their books are zero. So it's a little balance act for most individuals because they say, oh, I want to give back, so I'm going to start a nonprofit, and then they start the nonprofit, and they're like, I need some profits. Right. So for me, I had to start my business. I have a traditional, conventional business. I had to start with the money that was in my pocket, right? Saving my 401k that came from my job or whatever savings that I had for myself. And that was one of the reasons why, even though I love being able to give back, I'm not the fundraiser. I'm just writing a check. So you see what I'm saying? And everyone has their place in the community, right? So everyone has their place. So I didn't necessarily have problem funding, but the funding was self-funded. Right. And that's one of the reasons why I like to talk to people when they're just starting out. Maybe they still have their job. I'm like, hey, stay on your job a little longer so you can make sure that you save some money. Because when you start a business, you don't just start and then at day one when the doors open, you're not in the red. You're not in the black yet. You're still in the red. You know, startup costs can go for 10 years. But most people think that startup costs is just the money that you need to open up the doors. No, you need money to keep going until what you borrowed is paid back, and now you're actually operating in the black, which is a positive number, as opposed to in the red, which is still a negative number.
Thank you.
Yes. I got a question for the whole panel, but I just want to piggyback real quick about the grants, because it's like so hard to find like the grants that work for you. Luckily, I was able to find one this past summer. Like, I got paid to make clothing, to sell the clothing. Like, that was just like one part of the grant. Like, I had other obligations, but like that was like my main reason for doing it, to pay me to make the clothing so I can put it out there. So it's like, it's possible for like whatever you want to do. It's grants for everything out here. You just gotta have that mental mindset to like research it and keep finding it and looking for it. And my question for you ladies is what's one current issue that you're going through in your business, and how are you working to solve it?
I'll start. For me, it's growth. That's where the money is, and I now realize that I have to earn the money in order to share the money. It's one thing to say that I'm in business and I'm paying my light and my gas and my mortgage and my car note. It's another thing to say that I'm in business and I could create a recreational center. I could put up a skating rink in a community. I could put up a food pantry in a community. It's so much more to this. Interestingly, I just came back from our national convention, and we had a man there by the name of Grant Cardone, and he challenged everybody in the room. See, it's one thing if you don't have the ability to get to the money. It's another thing if you have a platform that can get you as much money as you need. But what I find is that we don't dream big enough. So I can say, well, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur and I'm gonna make sure all my bills are paid, I'm gonna make sure my kids is okay, but at the end of the day, who did I help? So I have to get bigger and grow bigger so that I can help more people.
So what I am facing right now is the creativity challenge. So because what I do is really based on my creativity, it gets a little challenging to just kind of reel that in, because the mind is always going and I'm always creating and I'm always in the space to, okay, do I sell this? Do I give this away? And it's ironic because creativity has very low overhead. You know, so whatever it is that you all have a genius in, whatever it is that you just do effortlessly, it could be telling jokes, it could be making clothes, it could be playing basketball, it could be asking questions, it could be a variety of things. It is key that we get to the point where we learn how to make money from our own genius, that we can generate from within. And the moment we learn how to make money based on what we do naturally, that's when you get to the space where they say you never work a day in your life, because you're actually making money doing what you love. Right. And when you make money doing something that you would do for free, it is all good.
Time. There are not enough hours in the day for me. I work a full-time job managing for a nonprofit, the state of Illinois, and I run a nonprofit, and I'm a mother, and I have kids that are very busy. So running a nonprofit is a lot of work anyway, because you're not paying anybody to do the work. So I do a lot of the work, and I have really good board members, but they're not up here. So I spend a lot of time thinking about how to do this and how to do that, and I want to do this and I want to do that, and I don't have enough hours in the day to do all of those things. So I am working to bring in more people that can help teach some of the classes so that I can expand into more programming and more opportunity for our youth and our parents and other business owners to help them grow, because like you say, you have Learning how to say no. I don't know. I don't know how to say no. I don't.
You gotta get it.
You ask me, like I said, I'm gonna find a way to help you get there. I promise you. But like I said, there's not enough hours in the day. So if I could get 5 more hours in the day where I'm not tired outside of what I already do, then ideally the organization can grow and expand to where it needs to be. So that's what we're working on to.
All right, real quick, one last question to close us out. So it came to my knowledge that some of these students are from perspectives, and they're in the entrepreneurship class, and you all are doing entrepreneurship. So what would be like one thing that you think wouldn't be able to be taught in class that they need to know now?
Can I answer that one first?
Okay.
Experience. We were just talking about that. Experience is the one thing that school cannot teach you. People can teach you from a manual, they can teach you from a book, they can go online and you can teach yourself. But if you never get out there and actually do the work that it takes to get to really truly understand that thing that you want to do, whatever it is, then you're just learning from a book. You're just learning from someone telling you. Get out there and do the research. Find out what it is for, what's your name? What is that Anya needs to do to experience what it is that I really love? How do I get there? Don't take somebody's word for it. You can hear it. Yeah, I hear you. But let me go out there and find out too.
I would say be true to yourself. If you know that you are the best drawer ever in the whole school, don't let nobody get you off your square. This is where I'm at, this is where I'm going, I'm right here. And as far as what she was saying, if it's something that you really, really want to do, go volunteer. Did you just hear her say she needed volunteers? Any company in America will gladly take free work. And it's not really free because you're getting experience, like she just mentioned. So let's say you want to become a beautician. Right now, today, you could go out and go into any beauty shop and say, hey, I want to be a shampoo girl. Now, you may think, well, the shampoo girl is the smallest thing on the potato, but you're in there learning the business. You're watching how they receive customers in, how they're answering the phone, how they're setting appointments, how they're rolling their hair. So volunteer. It's nothing wrong with volunteer. And trust me, as a business owner, any business owner, nonprofit, for-profit, we will gladly train you if you own your game. Don't come playing saying, well, I think this is what I want to do, and now you off doing. Be for real. If it's something you really want to do, walk into that business just as big and bad as the person that owns it and say, I'm here to volunteer and learn as much as I want to learn. As business owners, we love that. We are not afraid to share with you what we know, because your business is not going to look like my business at the end of the day.
That question was so loaded. Just so many things. But if there's one thing I'd like to share is, at this time and place when you have no real responsibilities, you are at the mercy of your parents, right? They take care of you. They are, you're in school, you're learning. Take this opportunity to learn and experience and try as much as you humanly possibly can, because it would put you in a place where you don't see. We're older. I'm not saying old. We are older, right? Seasoned. Like that meat, right? We've been in the refrigerator a couple of days. So a lot of the things that we had to learn in entrepreneurship, we had to learn while we had to take care of family, while we had bills, while we had those responsibilities. And now you don't have those responsibilities. So get out there and don't be afraid to fall. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, because it is the opportunity of a lifetime to fall and then get back up.
Thank you, thank you. Can we give it up for our panelists one time, please? I appreciate you all for coming out and giving your knowledge about owning a business and what it takes to sustain a business or the process of sustaining a business. And that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to Shaping Young Minds. Thank you.